Welcome to Hollywood Approved with Kristen and Yael. Each episode is an exploration of taste as we dive into the good, the bad, and the unexpected in TV and movies. Tune in for the celebrity guests, stay for the surprising recommendations. Plus, we get creative with monetizations and fan casts some of our favorites. This is Hollywood Approved.
Hello, I'm so excited. Today we are doing another very special episode, doing something a little bit different. We'll be reflecting on some of our favorites from the last year, and we are looking forward to next year because this is our last episode of the season. I'm so excited about this episode, Kristen. What about you?
I'm excited. It's bittersweet, because it's the last one of the season. We got the holidays coming up, but I'm gonna miss seeing you every week.
I'm going to miss you too. I'm also really glad we're ending before the holidays so that we don't have to talk about holiday movies.
This was your plan, wasn't it?
It wasn't, but it worked out so well.
I love it. I love it.
Yeah.
Well, so since we're not talking about holiday movies, tell me, what is the last thing that you watched?
The last thing that I watched was Encanto. I have to be honest, I think I said it on the show here. I had not heard about this movie. I saw one promo for it, and then I got to go to a press screening, and I'm obsessed. I am saying it now. I think this is going to be the next Frozen. I think it is going to be bigger than Moana. I think it was so good, and I really enjoyed it. And I was telling you before the show, I was looking for the soundtrack, and it is not yet available. November 19th, it will be available digitally, so I cannot wait to listen.
You got me so hyped. I can't wait to see it.
Well, I'll say this, lower your expectations,
Okay.
because I went in with no expectations,
Okay.
and was blown away. And I will also say that I then rewatched the trailer afterwards, and I think the trailer gives too much away. Even though I felt like when I watched it, the trailer I felt like had misled me. Just don't watch the trailer anymore and go see the movie. That's what I want to say.
I'm so excited, and I love. Actually, I love Lin-Manuel Miranda, and I feel like we're gonna talk about him again in a minute. But I'm excited to hear that music because I think that he is so talented, and he's so like he knows what his voice is. So I'm curious to see like how that all comes together in this.
It's interesting you bring that up because I'd recently, not that he's not incredibly talented, but I recently been talking to someone about how I think that he is a one-trick pony, and I am eating my words. I take it back. He has proven me wrong. And Kento was so beautiful, and the music was so good, and I take it back. He is not a one-trick pony.
That is so funny because of the way that his music sounds. You mean?
Yes, because it all sounds similar. Because I was originally the discussion was about Adele and her new song and how
Mhm.
you could line it up with a few other songs and you will not know when one ends and one begins. And
Mhm.
I said Lin-Manuel Miranda does the same thing, and I was wrong. I was wrong.
But I've heard other people say that though. I mean, I haven't seen Encanto, but I have heard other people say that, and I think that that kind of is the mark of like a composer when they're like bringing their pieces to life. Because I was thinking about we're gonna talk about this one next, but Tick Tick Boom, Jonathan Larson, it all sounds like Rent. Like Stephen Sondheim, if you were to like pick out a song from one of his plays and like one of his musicals, you would know it's him because he has like such a distinct sound. And I feel like all three of them have that in common. Where like if you were to listen to it out of context and they were like, "Who is that?" You'd be like, "Oh, it's probably Jonathan Larson or it's probably Lin Manuel Miranda."
You know what though? I'll say that like John Williams is known for having also a very distinct sound, but I don't think that his songs sound the same, if
Okay.
that makes sense.
Yes.
You
Okay.
can tell it's his,
Hmm.
but it doesn't, not because it sounds identical to another song.
Okay. Okay.
Anyway, point is, I was wrong. He's so super talented. I'm eating
Yeah.
my words, and Kanto is great. What about you? What is the last thing you watched?
So the last thing I watched was Tick Tick Boom. Honestly, I've watched it 3 times now
Oh,
because
wow.
I can't stop myself. I think this is an incredible directorial debut for Lin-Manuel Miranda, mainly because, like, you could really see, like, how much he had in common with Jonathan Larson as, like, a young composer trying to make it in New York. And then, like, Andrew Garfield literally embodies him. Like, he even, like, they show some clips at the end of, like, original footage of Jonathan Larson, and he looks like him. I was like, "Wow." Like they did a great job. And then the music, is so raw and like I think what I love the most though is that you can tell that everybody wanted to put in so much like Broadway and Jonathan Larson and Rent and musical energy into it. Like I've been working on this video where I'm literally like breaking down all the Easter eggs that I can find to like different Broadway shows, all this stuff. This might be a 20-minute long video because I keep finding all these little things that I'm like, oh my God, I didn't realize that, you know, let's say walking into the apartment building, Jonathan says, "Hey, Pookie, rent? Maureen, Joanne, what?" Like little things like that that I'm like, that just like fill my little theater kid heart with joy. And they just, you could just see they did such a beautiful job with all those references. And I love that. So you did a
Awesome.
great job. Everybody in there.
Awesome. So what is the most underrated thing you watched in 2021?
Okay. One of the most underrated things that I watched was definitely Sweet Tooth. I feel like not enough people are talking about the show. It is so like whimsical and wholesome and like post-apocalyptic. I loved the little like duo that was Gus and Big Man. They just had such great chemistry. I think that this is such a I think the original comic books are much darker. This is definitely more of like a whimsical take that like you could watch with your whole family. Um, but I just thought they did a really great job with it. And I feel like not enough people are talking about that show.
I agree with you. I really liked Sweet Tooth. I was surprised. It was whimsical is a great description, but it also, as you say, was like family friendly, which I was not expecting. I thought that it was going to be a lot darker, and it was pleasantly surprising that it was not so dark. And I, as some people know, I'm not such a fan of children, and I found these children to be wonderful actors, and that was very impressive. And our character of Sweet Tooth was he was great. He was actually really great, which is a lot. He has to carry a show, so it's a big deal.
Hmm.
I really enjoyed that. Yeah, I think it
Definitely.
was underrated. Not enough people saw it.
Totally. I keep waiting every time they have these like DC events. I'm like, are you going to talk about Sweet Tooth? And it's like, nobody cares about that but me, probably. But I want them to talk about it.
I mean, there's another show that we both really love that I think is underrated that we talk about a lot, and I feel like not enough people are enjoying, and that is Lock and Key.
Yep.
Um, this is a show that we have been talking about since it came out, and I think we talked a little bit about how the second season got darker and more mature as the cast aged up a little bit too.
Hmm.
And I really enjoy this show. I never really know where it's going. And the twists and turns are so fun. Yeah. Why do you think no one's watching
I
the
don't
show?
know. It stresses me out because I'm like, this show is so good. And you would have thought, especially after the huge like buzz that the lead actress was getting after Coda,
Mhm.
that people would have been like, oh, like whatever she does next, I need to watch. And I feel like people are still it's so underrated. But they
I
do
had
so
that
much
same thought, but
right.
then the thing is, Coda, I feel like the buzz that we're hearing is in the critic circles, in
Hmm.
the entertainment journalism world, and
That's
not
true.
necessarily in the mainstream. Whereas I think Lock and Key feels like it's perfect for Halloween season, which is when it comes out.
Mhm.
It's not too scary, and it has young, attractive teens. What more do you want? This feels like a show that would do well on Freeform back in the
Yeah.
day.
Totally. I don't know why it's not doing as well. I mean, not that it's not doing well. I just feel like I don't hear people talk about it as much as us.
Yes.
You know, like I want more people to be watching it. And mean, my favorite thing is just how well they wrap all these stories up and how they address everything. So if you're looking for like a cool mystery where they do like crazy effects that look so cool and actually like bring up something and address it in the story and you're not left questioning and wondering and being like, this doesn't make sense. Did you plan this out? Like this is the show that you need to check out.
Yeah, that's a great description.
Mhm.
What is another underrated show you have from 2021?
Yes, another underrated show is Panic. I really loved Panic, and I was surprised that the show didn't get picked up for another season. And I think people weren't watching it, maybe didn't know about it. It was on Amazon Prime, and the whole story is about like every summer in this small town, the graduating seniors do like this. series of challenges, and they're trying to like win money. It's their way to like escape their small town and make their lives better, and it ends up turning into this just all this chaos. And I thought there was a lot of really great actors in it who I feel like after they were on the show, I started seeing them in like other things. Like Olivia Welsh was in Fear Street. Mike Feist is going to be in West Side Story. Ray Nicholson, Jack Nicholson's son, is in this, and he's incredible. And I just want people to watch this show. I mean, it's it's just a one season limited series, I guess now, but it was really good. And I think people missed out on it.
Yeah, I think that's why I wanted to make sure we do this underrated because I wanna make sure these shows get more seasons.
Yeah.
Um, so my other underrated show is Fantasy Island.
Mm.
I will tell you how surprised I was that I enjoyed this. It is inspired by the original series, not by the horror film that came out, I think, last year or the year before. And it has this beautiful like connectivity to the mythology of Fantasy Island. The cast is really great. I believe I just saw that it got renewed for a second season, so there is a reason to watch. And the way that they tie in, it is very much like story of the week, but there is still an overarching story, which is really nice, especially about the person who becomes the like assistant to the woman running Fantasy Island. So if I would say if you like the old original Fantasy Island, you'll probably like this. If you like a magical monster of the week type of story, you'll definitely like this.
Oh, okay.
And like it addresses really interesting issues, and the casting is, I think, really incredible for each of the guest stars. Like
Mhm.
they've had some amazing guest stars. I One of my favorites is they had Odette Annable, and her
Mhm.
husband, I can't remember his name, and they played a husband and wife, and I thought that was so clever. And then the main woman, her husband, he made an appearance. So like the casting is just really fun to watch. And it's
Oh,
just
that's
a good
awesome.
show, and it got renewed, and it's on Fox, and so like it's not getting any attention because it's not a big flashy streaming show.
Mhm, mhm.
But it's not bad, and it's really, like, if you're, looking for something to watch and turn your brain off, like, it's a really great, like,
I've
here's a
been in the
TV
mood for a
show.
lot of those lately where I'm like, I just wanna, like, play it, but not have to, like, really focus too much. Like, last
Yeah,
night I was watching Craig of the Creek because I was like, "Just put something on to play it and just let it go and do something else," like,
right.
chores,
It
things.
feels like a classic broadcast television show, if that makes sense. If you're thinking about, like, shows you grew up with that you're like, "Why are my parents watching this?" It's that kind of show, and
Yes.
it's not bad.
Oh, that's perfect. That's what I need to be watching next.
Alright, let's move on to our favorite, ensemble show of 2021.
Yes. Alright, yeah, you go first.
Okay, so and I'm gonna say how surprised I am. This one is also on Fox. I'm talking about The Big Leap. So if you like Unreal, if you liked that show, if you like behind the scenes of how reality TV is made in a dramatic way, this is the show for you. It's about these people who sign up to be on a dance reality show. And what I love about it is the ensemble's diversity, right? Like our main girl is a plus size dancer and she is amazing. And we have queer people, and we have plus size people, and we have, what you would expect on TV, very gorgeous, very thin, attractive people. And we have, actors that you are familiar with, like Piper Perabo and Terry Polo and Scott Foley.
Mhm, mhm.
It has everything you could want. The dancing is incredible. The heart in it is so beautiful. And it's just a really fun show to watch, and it's almost done for the first season. You can binge the whole thing on Hulu, and I worry that it's not gonna get a second season,
No.
but I am pretty obsessed, and, I'm invested in these characters. I'm invested in their lives. Have you seen it yet?
I have not, but I know you've talked about it, so I need to, start it. I need to start
Yeah.
it.
All right,
While
what
we're
about
on
you?
break,
What's your best
while we're on break,
ensemble show?
my favorite is it's a new one, Yellow Jackets. We've talked about it a little bit before. Literally just came out the first episode last week, but this is definitely an ensemble that you don't want to miss. You got, like Jasmine Savoy Brown, you have Juliette Lewis, you got Christina Ricci, you have just so many incredible people, Melanie Linsky, and I love this story because I'm a big fan of like I would never be able to survive in the wilderness probably because of bugs alone. But I like when people like have those wilderness survival types of shows. So they crash land in the wilderness, like this team of soccer players, and it shows them in 1996 when they've crash landed, and then in 2021 as like some of them have survived, and now it's years later, and they're like actually home and trying to keep the secret of whatever happened back in 1996 because I don't know, they were eating people, things were going down, but you have such an incredible cast that plays like the younger versions of these women and the more veteran versions of these women, and it's just like I don't even know what's happening next with the show. They're just bringing in so many different elements and layers, and the actresses are incredible. It's definitely a can't miss one, that's for sure.
Yeah, I have been watching it as well. It's really good. I have no idea what's happening. I have so many questions.
Mhm,
I can't help but compare it to The Wilds because it is very similar in that it is a team of teen girls who got in a plane crash and stranded and now have to survive.
mhm,
And there is like the flashbacky element.
mhm.
So I'm trying not to compare the two, and I'm hoping. I mean, it couldn't possibly be that this was all intentional and they were stranded for a reason, the way that it was on the Wilds, right? Like that
Uh-oh.
can't
I mean,
possibly.
who even knows at this point? You never know. I feel like they hint at these, like, things with, like, weird symbols in the beginning of the first episode that it's like, is there some kinda, like, cult? Or I don't even know what's going on. Like, it could be anything.
Yeah, that's
Who
true.
knows?
We're only one episode in, and
Mhm,
anything could happen. I'm hooked. The show has got me hooked. It
mhm.
is fascinating because, I also know that I'm not one to survive.
I think if there was no bugs, I could do, like, fairly well, but, like, the minute you throw bugs in there and, like, having to, like, you know, pee in a bush, I'm like, no thanks." But I feel like after watching all these shows, like The Wilds and stuff, I'm like, I would know kind of what to do, I think. Like,
Yeah, now we've
I'd have
learned
my
some
first
things.
of how to do it. It's just, do I wanna do these things? Not really.
Right. I think it's an amazing ensemble for sure. This cast is just so incredible.
Mhm.
And I am excited to see where it goes.
Totally.
Well,
Now,
let's look to the
yeah,
future.
let's look to the future. So, what are you looking forward to in 2022?
I can't believe we're looking at 2022 already.
That's crazy. The year
Um,
went very fast.
it went very fast. Let's start with one actually that Jasmine Savoy Brown from the Yellow Jackets is in, which is Scream 5, the
Yes.
newest Scream. And anyone who's seeing this is like, Yell, you don't watch horror movies?
Yeah.
That is correct.
Yeah, are you lying
Um,
to
no,
us?
Scream is the only horror movie franchise that I will watch. Not because it's not scary, it is absolutely terrifying. But I grew up with it, and it's a movie about movies, so, like, I love it, right? The first movies just tell you, like, this is how horror movies work, and I just absolutely love that part of it, and I'm very invested in these characters. I've grown up with Sydney, and I can't wait to see what happens.
Yes, I'm excited about the new additions and like how they're bringing in like people that seem to be like relatives of past characters and also just like a whole new cast with like Jenna Ortega and what is it, Mason Gooding and the guy from The Boys that I'm forgetting his name right now off the top of my head.
Oh,
That plays
Jack Quaid.
Jack Quaid. Like I'm excited to see all like the new people come in.
Yeah,
Um That's gonna be awesome. Melissa Barrera from In the Heights. Ooh, it's gonna be a lot of cool, like, new faces coming in.
yeah, and I'm excited to see who survives.
Mhm, that is true. Most of
Yeah.
them probably won't, but,
Right,
that's
right,
part of
right.
it.
Alright, what are you looking forward to in 2022?
So one of the ones I'm looking forward to is Nope, which is the new Jordan Peele horror movie. I don't think we really know too much yet, but I mean, like the minute I hear Jordan Peele horror movie, I'm like, all right, I'm ready. I mean, the poster has like a little cloud. I'm like, okay, is this gonna have something to do with like the environment, something I don't know, evil? I have no idea. But it's gonna star Daniel Kaluuya, Kiki Palmer, Stephen Yoon, and they've also talked about Barbie Ferreira joining the cast. So I feel like there's a lot of good names in there. A lot of like young people that just are like very cool, and I'm excited to see what they do in this. I loved Us, so I have high hopes for another Jordan Peele movie. Yeah.
I, will wait. It seems scary. His stuff is very scary.
Just like, nope,
Nope.
no thank
His
you.
stuff is so scary.
It is, yeah. I
Yeah,
mean, Us, like, really, oh my gosh, they should have given Lupita an award for that. Like, ooh, like she
yeah,
was so good in that.
yeah.
What about
Um,
you? What's another one that you're excited for?
Another one I'm excited for is, of course, Doctor Strange in the
Mhm.
Multiverse of Madness.
Ooh.
Um, I It's been a very, very tough year not having Marvel films. I mean, yes, we do have the shows, and yes, I will be watching them, but I'm excited about this one, especially because of, within the next month, we're getting the new Spider-Man, which is going to help launch this, and we know that because Loki helped launch this. Like, all we've been doing is getting ready for this, and I want to see it now, please.
Yes. Oh my god, I'm so excited for the new Spider-Man. It just looks so good. Like, I love that whole idea of like, "Uh-oh, everyone knows who Peter Parker is. Let's try to rewind this. Let's fix it." And it just becomes a mess. Like, that's so like fun and feels very like something that a high schooler would do, you know?
Yes.
It kind of gave me like a little bit of like Shazam vibes when it's like trying to figure it out, you know?
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
But
Absolutely.
yeah, Doctor Strange. I'm excited that they're gonna be adding more people into that, like they're talking about
Yes.
Scarlet Witch coming in there and like just I love when they
Right.
build it out and everybody's in there.
I agree. I think it's weird to have standalones at this point,
When it's like the person's
because
you just call them and be like, "Hey, there's an issue. Could you help me like fight this thing off?"
right, like, we've already made this team, you know each other, why would you be alone? So I think that's gonna be interesting, especially something bigger than just a little, like, local problem. It's like when the DC TV shows on the CW, when somebody has a problem and they can't solve it, I'm like, "But you could call the Flash, like, you could call them."
Mhm.
Um, so I'm excited to have more people. What else are you excited about for 2022?
I'm excited for Turning Red, which is the new Disney Pixar movie. It's directed by Dome Shi, who did the Bow short film that
Oh,
did really, really
yeah.
well. She was actually the first woman to direct a short film for Pixar, which is very interesting. And this is going to be her directorial feature debut. And it's the first Pixar film to be solely directed by a woman, which I'm like, oh wow.
Wow.
Um, it's set in the 2000s, which we love. So there's gonna be like boy bands. Actually, they just announced today that the music for the boy bands is written by Billie Eilish and her brother Phineas, and that Phineas and Jordan Fisher and like a whole bunch of other people are gonna be like the boy band.
I love
But
that.
this is gonna be about a young Chinese Canadian girl who can like suddenly turn into a giant panda whenever she like feels intense emotions, so kind of like a cuddly Hulk. Um, and I think it sounds really cool. There's a lot of really good people in it. Sandra Oh is gonna be her mom. Um, M Maitreyi from, Never Have I Ever is gonna be a voice in it as well, and then it's led by Rosalie Chiang. So, I think it's gonna be really fun. The trailers have seemed really goofy and, like, 2000s-y, like, I already spotted, like, little Tamagotchis all around, and I'm like, "That's so fun." So, I'm sure it's gonna be trying to, like, I don't know, maybe learning how to use your emotions, how to deal with them, but also maybe using them as, like, a strength as well. since she turns into like this big powerful panda. But
Yeah, I'm so excited. I don't know if you know this about me, but I love red pandas.
no, I did not.
Yeah, I love very cute animals, and
Mhm.
so I every time I see the trailer, I get so excited, mostly because of the red panda. Like, I think I'm gonna have to watch it 3 times just to get the plot because 'cause I'm gonna be
You
so
just be like, "Panda,
excited.
panda, which, like, there's a little girl in the trailer that's like, "Ah, you're so cute!" Like,
Yeah,
it's gonna be you.
that's
It's
me, that's me.
so cute.
I'm so excited about this one. I was just rewatching the trailer actually.
Yes, yes.
Um,
And
and another one that I'm excited
mhm.
about is, speaking of animation, is the Bob's Burgers movie. I love Bob's Burgers. I, discovered it. I mean, I was aware of it, but I, like, really binged the entire thing early on in the pandemic, and now I'm obsessed, and I'm really excited about a movie. Like, that sounds great, and if I remember correctly, the writers or the creators of Bob's Burgers are also writing the next Deadpool movie? I
Ooh,
think that's
okay.
correct. I might be making that up. I know they're writing a movie that I'm very excited about, um, and they're writing this one. So, I'm very 2022 is gonna have lots of movies that I'm excited about. This is hard to narrow down.
Yeah, yeah, seriously. I'm like, "Oh my gosh,
Yeah,
everything's gonna be coming out."
finally.
Yeah, wild.
Well, that, wraps up our last episode of the season. Before we go,
No, Yale.
we want to remind you that the Hollywood Critics Association has a lot of amazing content coming out every week. You can check out Pop Council on Mondays, What to Stream on Thursdays. There's so much more on this channel. So make sure you have subscribed, and that way you'll know when we come back in January. But until then, Kristen, where are you on the internet and what are you up to these days?
You can find me everywhere at Kaymaldo, Kaymaldo. Mainly on YouTube. You can find me on Twitter, Facebook. Yeah, what at the end. I'm on Instagram, and just talking movies, TV, and I also have a podcast called Pop Culture Planet, all about representation and inclusion in Hollywood. What about you, Yale?
I am everywhere at Yael Tygiel. That is YAELTYGIEL. You can find me on Twitter and Instagram. On Sundays, I am on Law and Order S Review on Fanversation's YouTube channel. You can also check out movie reviews on fanversation.com. And if you watched Leverage Redemption, you can check out the official Leverage Redemption After Show, a very distinctive podcast only on the Electric Now app. Also, if you like Foundation, the show on Apple TV Plus, there's a Foundation After Show here on this channel that you can check out. I think the finale is tomorrow. So check us out there. All right. Thanks, everybody. We'll see you next time.
See you next year.